Hi, this is the assignment overview for the IRB Reflection. First thing is we have our assignment objective, and the objective is to understand ethical and legal issues as they apply to participation in research. Basically, when you do research, you need to be very careful that you're not doing any harm to your subjects. As you go through this module, you'll see that even though that sounds pretty obvious, there have been many times in history where there has been a lot of harm done to subjects, either purposefully or as a byproduct of careless practices. So as we go through the module, you're going to learn about some of that history and what you need to do as a researcher when it becomes time to do your actual proposal. Okay, so starting out, you're going to go to LSSU's IRB website, and the link is there, and start with the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint gives a really nice overview of what historically we've done when it comes to research and some of the atrocities that have happened that make it important for us to now make sure that we're following a specific process. There's also a fake book student handout. It's kind of cute and looks like Facebook, but there's it's a neat way to look at some of the information a little more creatively. And look over the submission form. You're not going to actually submit anything for this course. You're going to look at that later when it comes time to actually do your research in 604. But at this time, I want you to just be aware of what would be required for the submission form. Most of you, when you're doing your research, you're going to be exempt. You're not going to be doing a lot of the pieces that would involve real heavy oversight. But I want you to look at the submission form just so you have an idea of what that's going to look like when it comes time for you to do that. And then look at there's some tabs there for APA, IRB. Anything that looks interesting and relevant, just kind of click through there and see what looks good to you. You don't have to go through everything, but just the stuff that sticks out. After that, you're going to complete the city training module. And I have a separate handout in the folder that will give you step-by-step directions on how to do that. So just follow those directions, complete the module, and when you're done, you're going to write up a summary for me. For your summary, the biggest thing that I would like to see is implications for your planned research. So when you're looking through here, if there's stuff that surprised you or things that you think will be relevant, talk about that and talk about that impact. So you're not really giving a huge summary of everything that you saw. You're really talking about how the stuff that you saw impacts you. That's the number one focus for this paper. My estimated length for this is about 1 or 2 pages. That's just estimated. Some of you are going to do less, some will do more, and that's fine. But I'm guessing it'll take about 1 or 2 pages. Again, that's not a requirement. It's not a minimum or a maximum, just trying to give you a framework. Since you're going to be talking about your own research, it's okay to use I. You don't have to say this researcher or anything super formal like that. Follow all your APA styling, but it's okay to be a little more formal and say I or I think or giving some opinion in there. That's okay too. And again, make sure you're talking about the implications for your research or aha moments and not just a summary of it said this, it said this, it said this. I want to know how it impacts you. Okay, so going down to the rubric, you do need to have a little bit of a summary. That is important. So it's clear, concise. I always value concise over wordy. Important information is included, and you've talked about both IRBs and the human subject research. So again, this summary can be woven in with your implications. So you might talk about something that you saw about IRB, and this will impact my research by blah, 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 blah. That's fine. You can weave these together, or you can do a couple paragraph summary and then talk about implications separately. That's fine too. But even though these are equal points, I really am looking for implications more than anything. So under your implications, be clear about what the implications are, discussion about how the information will impact your study design and methodology. Now, I know you don't have this all written out yet because you're just starting to think about it, but just going forward, if you have a general idea that you're going to use a class of 4th grade students, what are some things that you would have to consider? So just general, since you're not real narrowed down yet, that's okay, but just how is this going to impact you? And then always, every assignment we have formatting and grammar. And so minimal spelling and grammar errors. I really don't expect to see very much in papers at this level, especially when we have spell check and grammar check. So make sure you're keeping tabs on that. And minimal APA formatting and citation errors. You probably will not have APA citations unless you are doing a direct quote from the website or from the IRB forms, it's okay to, you can just refer to it without having to do a citation list this time. But if you're doing any paraphrasing or any direct quotes, you do need to cite it. But if you're just referring in general to I learned X, Y, and Z on the fake book page, don't worry about citing it at this time, that's okay. But again, any paraphrasing or direct quotes, you have to have a citation in there. And then make sure your paper is coherent, has good flow, so make sure that I can tell what you're trying to say. Make sure, keep it clear, keep it concise. Don't worry about using big giant words. Try to just make it easy to read so I can follow along with what you're doing. I'm going to show you on this one, this assignment, what I talk about when I say I want you to bold the cell. What I'm looking for is after you've done your assignment and you go and you're going to copy and paste this rubric. So you're going to copy and you're going to paste it back into the end of your paper. And then I want you to go through, I want you to grade yourself. And my advice to you is if you don't have this full 20 points, I would say go back and fix it. And then, keep working on it until you get those full points. So double check. You've written your paper. Hopefully you've looked at the rubric first. You wrote your paper. Just go back and check again. Did you give a concise summary? Did you only include important information? Did you cover both of these? If you did, just highlight that, and then you're going to just bold it. So you're not going to be able to see it on the screenshot, but you're going to go to the formatting and just press bold. I do give partial credit just as an FYI. So if I look and I see that you have some things from 2 cells, like maybe you had some extra irrelevant information, but you did cover both IRBs, I might give you 15 points because you were in between those 2. So I would go through and I will underline my opinion, and then I'll go and write some notes too. If I do something that's not full points, I'll tell you why. So when I'm talking about bold, I just want you to highlight what you think you did in bold, and that's what and then save that and upload that document to me so I can see what you think that you did. Again, if you think that you only had 10 points somewhere, I would say go back and fix it. Otherwise you're looking at a redo, and you don't want to waste the one redo that you have for this semester. Okay, that's the overview for the IRB reflection.